These top 5 staging tips will help move the needle on the sale of your home way more than countertops ever will. Today we're visiting with Roku from STS Home Staging, Denver Highlands. Thanks so much for being here today, Roku.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's just kick this off by talking a little bit about what is home staging and why would sellers want to do it?
Yeah, home staging is a huge marketing tool when selling your home. It will make your listing stand out, and that leads to faster sales, higher price points, etc. A much smoother process.
Definitely more money in your pocket if you are a seller, for sure. For sure. So, okay, top 5 staging tips. The first one, if a seller only did one thing, if they chose not to hire a stager, but they're trying to prep their home themselves and they're going to do their own staging, what is the one thing that is going to make the biggest difference for them?
That's an easy answer. It is aggressively reduce the number of items in the home. This means getting a jump on packing. You're going to pack anyway, might as well get something out of it on the sale. So it's going to feel empty if you do it right, but that's the goal. That's the idea. That's how you're going to connect with more buyers and make them feel more comfortable envisioning your home as their home. So that means removing extra furniture that doesn't need to be in the space or oversized furniture, making sure that the flow works properly between rooms. You're not having to walk around furniture you wouldn't otherwise walk around to get to from room to room. But also packing anything out of season. If it's the summer, pack your winter stuff, pack your sporting goods, everything that you can possibly live without for the short amount of time, ideally, until you get into your new home.
Yeah, this idea of pre-packing and removing things, like I'll go into a home and we'll pick out, they have a room full of things and furniture, and I'll say, okay, the couch stays, the end table stays, the thing that TV's on stays, and then like everything else goes. And part of the reason that this is so important is because it makes it feel so much bigger.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes the space feel bigger and it removes distractions. That's really the result this has. We want the buyers to come in and shop living in the home. We want them to see the counters. We want them to see the space and feel the spaces. We don't want them admiring your beautiful family. We don't want them checking out your baseball cap collection. That's just not where we want their focus.
Going through your stack of bills on the table.
Unless they pay them, right? Feel free.
All right, so that's tip 1. Tip number 1 is to pre-pack and remove things aggressively.
It's going to feel too empty. That's how you know you've gotten there.
Okay, so our second top 5 tip for staging, which rooms matter the most when you're staging?
You want to start at the entry. You want to connect with buyers as soon as they walk in the door. And typically that means the living room. And the living room is a crucial space. It's where you spend the majority of your time living in your home.
Well, and this brings up this idea of not only curb appeal, but first impressions. Because I think that the data shows, it's less than 10 seconds for sure. It's something like 3 seconds or 6 seconds that a buyer walks in the door and they're already deciding whether or not they like the home.
Yes, it's much like dating. Within it's a matter of seconds, you have an idea whether you're in or you're kind of halfway out already. And that is definitely a statistic that's supported in staging. You want that immediate connection. You want that immediate drawing them in.
And let's just dive deeper on this a little bit, because I know that there are a few other rooms that you definitely want to pay attention to. So the entry point is the most important because of first impressions, but talk a little more about which other rooms are so important.
Absolutely. The kitchen is actually really crucial because it's also it's a traffic point in the home and the meeting place a lot of the time. The condition of the kitchen and it feeling upscale teaches the buyer a lot. It informs the buyer a lot about the condition of the entire home. If the kitchen is crisp and clear, it's going to give that vibe for the entire house. It's going to inform them how well the home has been taken care of. So the kitchen is also a crucial space to get right.
Well, I know I'm not a home stager, but as a realtor, in my mind, it feels like the top places to stage, obviously entry is number 1 because of the first impressions. But I usually tell people kitchen, living room, and primary bedroom.
Yeah, you're spot on. Those are the spaces that we need to focus on because that's where people signing the check for the mortgage spend most of their time, and it's the thoroughfare traffic space in that kitchen. So the living room is typically the first thing you see when you walk in, and if there's an entry foyer, we consider that as well. But that living room is really crucial to be inviting of a hangout space and functional. Help them see the function in the space. The kitchen is very important that it's crisp and clean. It shows off the condition of the home. It informs the buyer the condition of the rest of the home. They'll get that feel in the kitchen, and it will carry through their feelings in the rest of the house. And that means counters are clear. Anything that is on the counter is specific and purposeful. It shows them the space in the kitchen. If you can do that well, they'll feel space in the rest of the home too.
Well, and the interesting thing about kitchens to me when it comes to staging is that there's not really furniture in the kitchen.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm going to take us sideways a little bit here and talk about pricing because, if a seller is very cost conscious and I would say, well, let's just do the living room, the kitchen, and the primary bedroom because it's not really, if you have those staged well and you've got some junior bedrooms that are vacant, like that's not really that big of a deal. Um, but wrapping those all together, is the pricing always kind of a package pricing? Because I would think staging a kitchen is super easy and super cheap versus the bedroom and the living room where now you're having to hire movers to bring in couches and beds and
Hmm. Yeah, it's package based. And it's because if you're going to bring furniture, do it right. Bring what you need. And that includes the items for the kitchen and also making the bathrooms nice and clean. Very little, but the necessities are there, so it makes it feel crisp. The third space that you'd mentioned, and you're spot on, is that primary bedroom. It's important that the people paying for the people who are going to pay the mortgage are comfortable and relaxed and feel drawn into that bedroom and they want to sleep there.
yeah.
It's a really important place to make a connection.
All right. Well, that's okay. So now we've got first two of the top 5 staging tips. So let's move to the third. What is the biggest mistake that sellers make when it comes to staging?
That would be attempting to do it on your own in a space that's yours. We just can't see the forest through the trees. You need an expert to help advise on what to move where, how to not over decorate. And the mistake would end up looking like a rearranging of your items, which feels refreshed to you, but is still far too many items and is just not arranged in a way that is meant for selling. If I was going to sell my home, even though I am an expert stager and I know these principles, I'm still a person who's subject to this psychology and these feelings. So I would actually bring in my own team and leave and say, you need to tell me what I need to do because I'm too close to it. I just can't succeed when I don't see my things the same way as anyone else would.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting what you said about that even if you kind of rearrange all your stuff and it feels like a refresh, so you think that you've staged it and it's great, but again, you're just too close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. Number 4. So we're doing top 5 staging tips. We've done 3. So number 4, how important is lighting when it comes to staging?
Oh my gosh, just ask your photographer.
My video guy.
Yeah, it is crucial. And not just for the photos and videos, but when you come into the space. Too bright and it feels cold like an office, too dim and they can't really see and it makes the place feel smaller. So layered lighting, natural lighting, these make a huge impact on how we feel in a space. It feels appropriate and right. Having purposeful lighting in the right tones and brightness is a really easy and expensive way to elevate a listing.
Well, because some of that you could accomplish by changing out light bulbs for a different color, right?
Right, exactly.
What do you mean when you say layered lighting? I've never heard that before.
Gotcha. Layered lighting is you start with a backdrop of natural light, open those blinds, open those curtains, and then you add a lamp or, you turn on the chandelier in the dining room and the under cabinet lighting in kitchens. If there are options like that, use them, turn them on. And if there are 3 different switches of lights in the kitchen and you turn them all on and it's this stark, crazy brightness, they're not actually there to be used all at once. There's task lighting in certain places. There's overall lighting for hosting a party, etc. So figure out time of day and what will lend best to the space. Play with those different lights and make sure it's highlighting what you want to highlight.
I love this conversation about lighting because, you know, when I'm the listing agent and I hire the photographer to come in and take pictures, I know that's one of the things we do every time. Like, I show up an hour before the photographer, and one of the things I'm doing is not only straightening hand towels, but I'm also opening up every blind, every window so that we're letting in as much natural light as possible. And I'm flipping on every single light switch where all the lights are on for these pictures. And it's something for sellers to keep in mind for showings because, you know, as a listing agent, we're not jumping over to the house every time there's a showing. And so usually like the buyer's agent arrives with their buyers and they're probably, you know, when I'm the buyer's agent, I'm going through the house with the buyers and we're turning on lights as we're in each room. But as a seller, if you're still living in the house and it's not vacant, one of the things you can do to help with showings is turn on all the lights before you leave the house and those buyers are coming in for their showing.
Absolutely. Use your realtor. Make those decisions up front about what lights you might want to leave off if you have a lot in a space that aren't meant to all be on at the same time. And just have that showing checklist. Having all the lights on is a really big point on that pre-showing checklist.
Yeah, the dark rooms, you know, the darker a room is, the more dungeony it feels. And while I know that I have clients who love dungeons, you don't want that, you know, for your pictures or for your showings. It just because not only does the darkness feel dungeony, but it can also make it feel dirty and it can make it feel small.
Yeah, the perceived value can change if it's too dark a lighting. It's a really easy fix as well. Put a floor lamp in a corner where there isn't enough light or a lamp on the table. And I mean, crazy easy fix. And doing that, brightening up the space, highlighting those little corners makes the whole room feel bigger as opposed to having the opposite effect of making it feel smaller.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. All right. So we're on to our fifth tip. So we've got the top 5 staging tips. So number 5, what small changes have the biggest ROI or return on investment for a seller?
In terms of that backdrop for your staging, neutral colors on the wall is very crucial. Some people may love the crazy colors on the walls or even just a really nice, subtle, but definite, like green, like a solid, brightish green. Some people may love that, but not everybody will. Most people don't love the same colors. So having that neutral background is really important. And then little things to elevate the condition of the whole home is actually like knobs in the kitchen. Just the little hardware details, easy swaps, things like that. And then when we bring the staging in, they play really well together to create that full final product that you want.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so the small changes that have the biggest ROI are easy things like lighting, hardware and knobs, and I feel like there was one other one that you just said.
Colors.
And oh,
Mm.
neutral colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because we definitely you've seen them. You've seen them online. I just looked at one yesterday. It had one green room, one blue room. People love their red accent walls.
I do too. I have one in my house.
You do?
And I know if I sell it, it's got to go
Yeah.
because it's just narrowing my buyer pool. And that's silly. Yeah. And we do stage homes that have those things and it makes it a little more challenging, but we do our best to make it cohesive. But man, it's just such an easy, quick paint is not a big deal and not very expensive and it's super quick. So it's a great way to elevate easily.
Yeah, I agree. Paint is something that, although I will caution with the paint because, oh man, people will DIY paint all day long, which is fine. It's fine if you want to DIY your paint job, but please, please, like tape things off, be careful, use the right brushes, because there is one of the things that really devalues a house, in my opinion, is when we walk into that house and I'm seeing, you know, paint from the wall all over the trim, all over the ceiling, all over the baseboards or even the floor. Um, it it is something that, along with a lot of other little things, makes it look DIY. And when a house looks DIY, it just does not have the same value because you've got buyers walking around in there and now they're seeing those little DIY screw ups, let's just call it. Um, and it's just not nice. It's not as nice as if it looks professional.
Mm.
And now as a buyer, now this looks like work to me. This looks like more work I have to do if I'm going to buy this home and move in. Now I got to fix all these paint touch-ups. So yes, paint can be a very easy, quick thing to do to help with your sale. But yeah, I would caution to do it well.
Yes, you have to do a good job. It's a really fair point. And it's something that we teach sellers as we're helping them stage their own homes, that little mistakes like that, little sloppy aspects of things like paint, it informs buyers of how you care for the rest of your house. So they're going to ask more questions about the maintenance schedule and history of the appliances, etc., because you're already giving them an idea of your standard. So put your best foot forward, do a really good job on these little touch-ups, and it will definitely pay off because you can inform them that you do care about the details and make them feel better about the whole house.
That is so true. Truer words have not been spoken today.
Or hire a professional.
Yes, just do the easy way and hire a professional. Circling back on this thing about like what small changes have the biggest ROI. And earlier we were talking about, which rooms that you want to focus on with staging. And we talked about first impressions. And so I think it's probably a good idea to also talk about this idea of curb appeal, which is also a first impression.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you have some thoughts and opinions about curb appeal, but does that fall under your home stager expertise? Do you also advise on curb appeal?
We absolutely can. Yes. It's also a design element. Like we don't do landscaping, but advising on it, absolutely we can help with that. We can help with flow, we can help with the visual lines between spaces, and when you're coming up to the home, if something looks dark and hidden, we can help advise and ideas for what to do with that. We can also point out things like your hose lives right here coiled up on the ground. It's unsightly. You don't know that. You really don't realize because you use it all the time. It's practical, but it's something so easy to just put away that you probably wouldn't think about.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you were saying earlier about, hopefully the time your house is on the market and gets under contract to closing is a pretty small time period where you can take the extra effort to, put a hose into the garage and then bring it back out on the specific times that you need it. It's a little bit more inconvenient, right? But if it helps that curb appeal, definitely worth it.
The more you're willing to inconvenience yourself a little bit to get a faster, better, more robust sale, get out of there, your effort's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do those things, then you're willing to take the extra amount of time that it's going to take. You get out what you put in.
Definitely. That's the ROI, the return on your investment.
Yes. Even of your time to walk the hose back and forth to the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we've done top 5 staging tips with Roku from STS Home Staging, Denver Highlands. Thanks so much for being here today, Roku. That was a good top 5.
Yeah, thanks for the chat.
If you like this content and want to support the channel, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go.